Hey there, and welcome to the Bringing Business to Retail podcast. If you're looking to get more sales, more customers, master your marketing, and ultimately take control of your retail or e-commerce business, then you're in the right place. I'm Selena Knight, a retail growth strategist and multi-award-winning store owner whose superpower is uncovering exactly what your business requires to move to the next level. I'll provide you with the strategies, the tools, and the insight you need to scale your store. All you need to do is take action. Ready to get started? Hey there, and welcome to today's episode of the Bringing Business to Retail podcast. 346% increase in profit. Is that something that you like? What about double your conversion rate online? Sounds good? How about a 147% increase in revenue? I am down for that. Put all those things together, and what have you got? You have got a success story. And today, you are going to hear exactly how Kristine has managed to do all those things and so much more in just, 3 months? So welcome to the show, Kristine.
So. Hey, thank you for having me.
All right. So before we get into the nitty-gritty, why don't you tell people, how did you even end up in retail, let alone getting these amazing results?
Yeah, well, I actually have my degree in clothing, textiles, and merchandising. So fashion has just been a love of mine. And, that was a long time ago. I'm 36. And life has taken me down some different roads. And I didn't end up pursuing having a boutique until about 5 years ago. And it's always been a dream of mine. And I just knew there was a lot I didn't know, even though I had that background and I had great internships. It's completely different from running your own business. So, yeah, so that's how I ended up sort of into the scale your store world. I was on the search for someone who knew what to do because I didn't know what to do. And somehow the algorithm gods brought you into my feed, and I was like, I'm in. This is what I need.
Okay, I feel like you've really underestimated a lot of the experience that you came with. So in the time between graduating with your fashion degree and opening a boutique, what were you doing in between?
Yeah, so well, I thought I wanted to be a buyer for a department store. So I ended up interning with Nordstrom for a bit and didn't really like that. So I ended up
Didn't like the big department store, or didn't like the buying
I
side?
I didn't like the big department store. I
Mhm.
think it was like, wasn't quite like the vibe I was trying to go for. And I was at one of their like flagship stores. I was in Chicago on Michigan Avenue, which is like a huge, shopping magnificent mile is what they call it. Um, and then from there, I thought, well, let me try, PR. And so I moved to New York and interned in PR and with some trend forecasting firms and somehow found my way into the marketing side of it. And ever since then, I've been working in marketing. And so, that's really what my background is. So um, I felt like I was having success in marketing, but there was always like a pull to have my own thing. And when I got out of college, I had like a little vintage online store for a little bit. And I've tried like the drop shipping thing and I've tried a whole bunch of things and always felt this calling to have my own boutique and just, never made it happen. And I, the marketing side got me into, some really cool experiences and partnerships. And on the side, I'm an artist. And so I was making art and I got to, design products for Michael Kors, and I had my art featured in Anthropology, and always like kind of in like the fashion world, but not, not really going full force. It was always like something I did on the side. And I just always felt the calling to like to really dive in and like have my own thing. And so I was actually designing products for a brand over the past 2 years. And last March, I actually got laid off.
Oh,
And
wow.
yeah, I was devastated. I thought, oh, I'm just, I'm designing on the design side, I'll design products, that'll be what I do. And then, getting laid off, it's like a punch in the gut. And I was just really devastated. And I had, my brand curated dry goods just as this hobby that I was doing. And I was in a spot where I was like, I have this space in my life now that I don't have this job. What do I want to fill that with? And the common thread over the past, decade and a half since I graduated college was that I always wanted my own boutique. And so around September, I decided to, take some money that I had saved up and just do it. And yeah, I was going blind, going in blind.
And you say that, but realistically, you came with so much experience. And this is something we see. The marketing thing I have to kind of chuckle about because so
Yeah,
many people in our programs come from a marketing background and they're like, I
right.
thought I had the marketing thing nailed. But actually, when
Yeah,
it's your own business, it's like your brain just disappears.
it literally like, and I'm like, and I think that that's what really like drew me in was that this wasn't a marketing course. And I think that I have had like so much resistance to like marketing courses because I'm like, I know all that and I've tried it and like it never really came into anything. Um, but yeah, it's funny when you say like when it's your own stuff, it's like you're like a beginner again and you have no idea what you're doing.
I'm curious, what made you like considering you had and you are really underplaying your success, I will just have to say, but
Well,
considering
thank
you
you.
had this success, how many people can say that their art has been featured? You've had collaborations with Michael Kors at Anthropology. People would
Yeah,
die to be able to say that. And you just are
I
like, oh, yeah, this thing happened. Yeah. So I'm curious, why did you not go, you know what? I've had a bit of success here. And yes, the boutique things, that's kind of great. But realistically, if I really put my effort into this thing, I could make it really, really work for me. I'm sure that I know that you have goals, and I'm sure you had. Did you have? Okay, let's just get in here. Let's get into the nitty gritty. Kristine, did you ever have a goal of someone that you really, really wanted to work with in the fashion industry?
like Anthropology was that brand. But what's funny, and I think it just speaks to like having imposter syndrome, is that I look at my resume, so to speak, and I'm like, it sounds great, but like, so what?
It
Like,
was it was just
like,
life.
yeah, yeah. And it just, it just kind of happened. Yeah. And I think the funny part of it was even though I kind of like, checked these brands off my list, it was like I still wanted something more. I always kind of wanted to have my own business and like be my own boss and not pursue that corporate life, even though I found myself in the corporate world. Um, yeah, I always felt that pull to just break out on my own.
So you took the leap, you had this
I
little
did.
side business, and you decided to put the money that you'd saved in and go all in. What happened?
Well, at first I had a little bit of like a taste of success, so to speak. I had, friends and family that supported me, and I was making sales here and there, and I, but it was never enough to like make a living off of.
Mm-hmm.
And I just kind of hit a roadblock where I was just like, what do I do? And when it's your own money you're investing into your business, you're like, I can't spend another dime until I know what that dime needs to be
Yeah.
spent on.
And what's my return going to be if I spend the dime?
Yeah,
What am I getting
exactly.
back?
And you're just watching these like your reserves go lower and lower. And you just like, I I, I didn't want to lose money without making money. And I just didn't know what I was doing with it really. Um, yeah, and so that's kind of where I was when I ended up in your world.
I have a question. When you jumped all in, did you know what success looked like? Because I'm going to put my Sal the strategist hat on here and say, like you said earlier, so many people from the outside would be like, oh my gosh, Kristine, you have seen so much success. And you're just kind of like, it just kind of happened. It's life. And I mean, it's very humbling to say that. But by the same token, I can see that if you had said, like, if my ultimate goal was to work with anthropology, once you'd done it, the celebration that comes with that and that feeling of, oh my goodness, I'm here. I've made it. This was the thing I always wanted. And the great part is then you go, okay, what's next? But you're just
Yes.
kind of like, yeah, it just happened. So I want to know, when you went into business for yourself and you jumped all in, what was the goal? Like, what was going to be success to you?
You know what's funny is that the only goal I had was, can I pay the bills and can I pay my salary? I didn't know what that number was, but I was like, I'll know it when I can pay the bills and I can give myself a salary. That'll be success. And what's funny is that I had my strategy call with Jennifer on your team. And she was like, well, what's your goal? I'm like, I don't know, like 6 figures. And she's like, why? I was like, I don't know. Like, it just sounds like a good number. Like, I don't know, the and I think that was like part of the issue, right? Is that like I didn't know where I was going, and I'm just like a creative at heart, so I'm just like, wherever the world takes me, like just follow my
Broke.
heart.
That's where
And
the world takes you.
yeah,
Broke.
exactly. Literally that. And I was like, you know what, I need to have a more solid idea of like where I want to go with this. And I just, I was just like flying by the seat of my pants.
It's funny, that initial call that we call it like the high level team. So their whole job is just to ask you some questions and find out, like, to help you uncover what are the things that are holding you back. Like, they're not going to help you implement the strategy. Their whole thing is just, they're really good diagnosticians. Is that a word? If it's not a word, it
Yeah.
is now. They're really good at diagnostics, and that's what we pick them for. And it's funny because you are not alone when you say, I didn't know what I wanted. I would say, because I review a lot of those calls, I would say 97% of people can't actually answer that question. And it is one of the first things we do inside of Scale Your Stories. What do you actually want? Because if we don't know what it is and you don't know what it is, how the freaking heck do we put something in place to get you to that point?
Yes, exactly.
So
Yeah, I had no idea.
from that call, when you went away, what were you thinking?
I was thinking that I had learned more in that 30 minutes talking to her than I had in, 5 years of trying to do it on my own. She really helped me drill down like where in my business I should focus. And like you said, like, diagnosing it, but not really telling you the how to. And it was just helpful to know what what I should even be looking at. What should I focus on? And like I feel like because I'm creative, I have so much fun on like the buying side, the styling side, like setting up like, social media posts
What about
and
this money thing? This will just sort itself
yeah,
out.
like the money will work exactly. And it's like, no,
Yeah.
I'm out.
Yeah. The dollars follow the cents.
Yeah, yeah. And I had no sense.
Okay. So you had your call with Jen on our team, and you've realized that, one, you're kind of not sure what this business even needs to do for you to make it a success.
Yeah.
What were you like? Where was your business at? And you don't have to, reveal anything that you don't want to reveal, but in terms of where was your business at with regards to how you felt it was giving back to you and how much it was taking from you?
Yeah. Well, I looked at my numbers. I actually had them pulled up because I was like, like what? Let me
Sal's
see
going to
the
ask me that
before and
question.
after. Yeah. Let me see the before and after. So if I'm looking at, let's just say Q3.
Mm-hmm.
So Q3 of last year, what I put, like what was outgoing was about 3 times what was incoming.
Oh,
And Q4, and we've had this conversation, and you know, but I was like literally $75 from breaking even. And I had never broke even in my business ever. Like I was always sort of funding it to keep it afloat. And the sales side was just, not working. And I was always like, what's not working? What's not working? I can't turn a profit. I can't break even. I don't know, what I'm doing. And that was like the big aha moment for me was that, holy crap, like I can actually like be in the black,
one quarter and already things have
Yeah.
changed from you having to fund the business. And,
Yeah.
in terms of numbers, I have seen people who are in 8 figures. So we're talking 10 million plus businesses where owners are still putting money in, which is just,
Yeah.
it seems absurd. There are businesses, we speak to multiple 7-figure businesses where the owners are still having to put money in. And you think,
Yeah.
if I hit $1 million, I'm sipping Mai Tais on the beach in the Caymans. The reality is that's not how it works, my friends.
Right. Right.
But just that realization that you can break even changed.
Yeah.
You told me that changed your entire mindset.
Totally. It made me, I was on the verge of giving up. I was like, you know what? This hasn't done anything for me in 5 years. Like, when do I move on and then just dive into corporate world and that's my life, And I thought to myself, I'm going to give it one last try. And I'm really going to try this time. And I'm really going to try to learn what I don't know. And I was like, and I told you, I was flabbergasted when I did my numbers. And I was like I might actually have something here. Like this might actually work. After years of just like, it's just a little hobby. It's, a little extra cash here and there. But, it was it like I honestly like don't know how to describe the feeling other than just like shock and awe.
And
Because, I was just
I'm sure just excitement about the fact that you did this. We didn't do it. You just got the knowledge. That's all. You literally took the knowledge and you put it into play. So you get all the kudos for everything that happened.
well, I had, several moments where I was like, oh shit, can I cuss?
You can cuss here.
Okay. I was like, oh shit, like this works. Like, and I've had several moments like that over the past few months.
So quick question, before you started Scale Your Store, were you actually tracking anything?
No. No.
I like that. I like the show. If you're watching the video, she's like,
Absolutely
oh.
not. Absolutely not. I was tracking it in the sense of like, I do. I have like QuickBooks for my accountant was about as much as I was like tracking it, like categorizing things. And then at the end of the year, like, what are my taxes? I wasn't tracking it in the sense of like, okay, what's incoming, what's outgoing, what does every week look like? Like, we talked about the foundation figures and all that stuff. Not at all. Not at all. It was like all right, tax season's here.
Where the heck am I getting the money for that?
Yeah.
Must be time
exactly.
for a sale.
Yeah.
And it was funny, like one of the things we had in our conversation before we jumped on here was talking about how even just between that conversation and this conversation, changing your mindset, because I'd said to you, if you were tracking those numbers on a daily basis or even a weekly basis, that $75 that you were off hitting that goal that you wanted, you would have put that extra social media post out, or you would have put that, like,
I know. I want to kick
point.
myself.
This is why having a goal is so important. And it's this is where I was getting to when I was saying earlier on, that goal of like working with anthropology, the success and the elation that you feel when you have actually written down, this is something that I want. And then you get there, it's like, yeah, I'm good.
Right. And and we talked about it, but I was like, that is one sweater. That is,
Exactly. Like, it's like less than one sale type thing.
yeah. But you know what? This quarter, I'm determined. I am determined this quarter is going to be the one.
And do we have a goal in place? Do we have a number written down on your 90-day plan?
I love when you ask that because I should know better and I should have one, but no, okay. No, I don't have it written down. I have it in my head of what I think I would like.
Okay.
Just based on I have some pop-ups coming up and what my average sales are and kind of what my goals are for those pop-ups. But no, I haven't, made it official and written it down. And
this is the perfect segue where I am going to read out a post that you put inside of our group, because to me, one, the numbers are fantastic, but I want you to pay attention to the first line and the last line. So this is what Kristine recently wrote inside of our Facebook group. It's interesting looking back at what I wrote down at the start of my journey here. I think I was too timid with my goals. I wanted to increase revenue year over year by 25%. I'm currently up 147% over last year. My conversion rate at the start was 1.44%. It is now 3.27. Oh my freaking gosh, that's amazing. My gross margin is up 4% and my profit is up 346%. I say all that to say I have learned to aim higher. I now have my foundation figures clear, so I know exactly what I need to aim for. So I think you need to take, there's a little bit more, but I think you need to take your own advice there, because
I do.
You said that you were very clear on what you need to aim for, and that at the beginning you were aiming maybe just a little bit shy. So let's just dig into that here. You get part therapy session, part mentoring session, part Kristine's story on this episode. Tell me why you haven't written that number down. Like, you knew I was going to ask you that question somewhere along the line. I was going to ask you.
I don't have a good answer, but I think it's because I'm honestly afraid. I'm still afraid I'm not going to hit it. And I think it's like, it's safe if I never say it out loud, right? Like if I never make it official, like I can never not hit it because I never said it, And like I don't have a good answer for it other than just, I just keep thinking like, what if I don't?
What is the worst thing that would happen if you didn't, though? If you fell,
I would just
$500
re-strategize.
Yeah.
And I would just work harder. I would do, I would just try again. But I think that's just, I keep talking about imposter syndrome, but I just think that's like something that I struggle with a little bit, even though I have, I have things to prove me wrong, that, I can set goals and beat them. And I think it's just like a mind over matter type of thing.
Yeah, because what happens if you hit those goals? What happens if you do better than those goals and you never wrote them down?
Right.
It's anthropology all over again.
It really is.
I will never, ever let you live that down.
Oh gosh. Yeah. It's, and you're right. And I do need to get clear on what I actually want to achieve. And I just need to get over that hesitation and that fear, I think.
It's just a number on a piece of paper. Like, the only power it has is the power that you give it.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Yeah, I usually am on this stuff. Yeah. All right.
That's why I'm here.
So now that you're saying that you have to get clear on what it is you want, I think you probably seem to do that you seem to reflect quite regularly on, oh my gosh, I did this thing. What's the next thing? Okay, maybe we're not writing it down yet. And maybe we're not celebrating as much yet. But you have done a lot of celebrating inside the Facebook group. And OMG, it makes my heart sing. I love the breakthroughs. I love hearing it. And my thing is validation. And so when you guys are taking the information that I've given you and you're seeing these results, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is everything I'm here for in life.
Yes. Yes. It's been amazing. It's been amazing.
All right. So what are the plans? What is your anthropology equivalent now? What is curated dry goods? If everything worked out amazingly and we were sitting down, let's go 12 months from now, and we're sharing a glass, we're sharing a bottle of champagne. And I'm like, Kristine, you have done such amazing stuff this year. I am so proud of you. What does the future look like? What are we talking about while we're having that glass of champagne?
I think the future for curated dry goods is having a brick and mortar. And we chatted about it, and I wasn't sure if I wanted just to do e-commerce or a brick and mortar or both. Well, obviously I would have both, but I've really enjoyed doing pop-ups and meeting my customers. Like it's hard work, but I've really enjoyed it. And I have my eye on a few like spots around town that I would love to have as like the first brick and mortar for curated dry goods. So I think if in a year from now, if I have the money to do that, that would be above and beyond my like expectations. If the timid me wants to be like, hey, break even.
That's happening. That's already happened. I'm sure that's probably already on its way to happening. 1 month into Q1. So I think we could throw that one out the window, because that is just playing safe. And you're playing small because you're just like, well, if it doesn't happen, then I won't feel bad about myself.
I know I am. And I think if in a year from now, if I'm like, hey, I found the spot, I can afford it, it's the next step I want to take, I would feel over the moon.
Awesome. And have you reverse engineered that?
I have reverse engineered what my salary, so I'm still doing design to fund, some of this. And so I've worked
Not
out
after Q1 this year.
Girl, that would be amazing. So I worked out like what I would want to earn to step away from everything and put 100% into this and pay the expenses and then pull a salary. What I haven't done though with those numbers is put in like what rent would be on a like a spot, or what like a build out would be.
What
So I
staffing
do
would
need
look like.
to. Yes, exactly.
What
So
the marketing
I do
would
need
look like.
There's a lot more that I need to add into it. And we had talked about it, and I told you my number, and you're like, that sounds kind of low. And I was like, yeah, it probably is.
And did you go back and check that number? Because I still think it was very low.
Yeah, I think because I was still on the fence, like if I wanted to just be e-commerce or have both. And now that I think, like, I just feel my heart calling me to have a brick and mortar. And I think I would want to go back and, look at some of the spots that I've have my eye on, put that rent in there, build out all that stuff, and then see what pops out. And then I'd have a better idea of like what I need to aim for, I think.
Yeah. And once you write it down, it's just math, right? It's just calculating the numbers. And I mean, so much of, I think what gets people into trouble is they think they're not very good with numbers, but actually a lot of this stuff is basic. It's just, how many sales do I need to get? How many people do I need in the door to get this many sales to make this much money? Like, basic
Yeah.
basic math that, I mean, we give you a calculator, you just put the numbers in and it tells you the answer.
Yes.
But
Oh, I've got all the calculators in my little spreadsheet.
so this has only been, how long has it been? 3 months, 4 months? It's
Yeah, I think my college gen was in September. And so I
wow.
think I started implementing, I would say like mid-October.
That's three
So
months.
yeah, basically 3 months. Yeah.
And to see those kinds of
Yeah.
results in 3 months, you really need to give yourself a pat on the back.
I'm not good at that.
That's all right. We will do it for you. Looking back, because it was only 3 or 4 months ago, looking
Yeah,
back,
yeah.
what would you say to yourself, like the day before you had that call with Jen? What would you say
Hmm.
to yourself if you didn't ever get on that call and you were looking at your business and you were deciding that you did want to make a go of it? What would you say?
Well, I can't tell you what I did say to myself, and it was that I would lose more money than it would cost to invest in this and learn what to do. And I mean, the cost of it is what, like a rack of inventory. And it's like, I can't spend that money on a rack of inventory if I don't even know what the heck to do with it. And so that was my, you know, come to Jesus moment, so to speak, of just like, I can't spend I'm going to lose money if I don't invest in this. And I just couldn't lose any more money. It's kind of where I was at. And so I had nothing to lose really. I had so much to gain.
That came with a money back guarantee. So realistically, you literally had nothing left to
Right.
lose.
Exactly. Exactly.
I love that you were open enough to think that, and you didn't come with the ego of like, I've been in the fashion industry since I got out of college. Hello, Nordstrom. Hello, Anthropologie. Hello, my, like, people. Do you not see how fabulous I am? You literally left all that ego out the door, and you went, just tell me what I need to learn. And
Yeah.
I'm the first one to say what I teach is not rocket science. Like, you could probably Google 90% of the stuff that I tell you, but you need to know what to Google, and you need to know when to Google it.
Yes.
And I mean, there's only so many ways you can do so many things. It's, retail has
Yes.
been around for a very, very long time. And apart from the digital side of things, it's the same stuff. Got stuff to sell, find the people to buy it. Like, that's
Right.
kind of
Right.
it.
And I did Google. I was like, I have like PDFs, I've got ebooks, I've got regular textbooks, I've got all kinds of things, and I could never make it work the way I hoped that it would until Scale Your Store.
Oh, that is so nice to hear.
Yeah, it's really been a game changer. And you know what they say, like it seems simple in hindsight, right? Because it seems so obvious now that you know it, but
Yeah.
I really was just I was so I regardless of my experience, I was so green when it came to running my own business and being the CEO of my business. And I was just a blank canvas, and I was like, just tell me what to do and I will do it because I don't know what I'm doing.
I love that too. I love that mindset. Whenever somebody says that, I'm like, you can work with us, because, and that is not to say that I think I'm smarter than anyone else or that our team are smarter. It's just that openness to learn, because I'm the
Yeah.
same thing. Like, I spend a lot of money on agencies and masterminds, and I'm like, you just tell me what I need to do. We'll put it A/B tested. If it doesn't work, we move on
Yeah.
to the next thing. But realistically, if I just do the same thing I'm doing today and not do, and if it's a problem, so let me just caveat that, if something's working fine, just leave it working fine. But if something's a
Right.
problem and you don't make any attempt to try and change it, then what will ever change? Like, the answer is
Exactly.
nothing. So I'm like, if this is my problem, this is my theory of constraints, this is the area I need to work on, you just throw the ideas at me, let's give them a go, let's see what sticks.
Yes. Yeah. And I think really like the mindset was like, what's it going to hurt to try it? What's it going to hurt to do like exactly what she says?
Yeah.
Raise my prices by 10%. What's
I
going to
mean, most
happen?
of what we tell you to do, there's no money involved. Like, we don't ask you to
Right.
spend any money on anything.
Hmm. Right. Right. And it's amazing because it's just like, these simple tweaks really made a big impact in my business.
Yeah. Hello, 346% increase
Yeah,
in profit.
it's great. Well, let me give you another percent because I'm looking at it
Oh,
now on my cash flow.
look at
Um,
you.
so
Got my numbers up.
except for that goal, don't have that number. But so looking at 2022 Q4 versus Q4 of last year, the percentage increase of incoming dollars is 1,896.44%.
Oh my gosh, did we celebrate
It's
with that?
so
We should have had
insane.
a glass of champagne here ready to go. I did
I
not know
know.
that number.
I hadn't shared it in the group because I was like, I'm trying not to be annoying in the group too, but
Oh, we love you in the group. You just keep sharing in the group. People are saying,
okay, great.
so to our coach, to our strategic coaches, they're like, what is Kristine doing? Like, I want to do whatever she's doing, just tell me and I'll do it. So you don't get to see behind the scenes. I see behind the scenes.
Yeah, it's like it's been I mean that number sounds like a joke, but it really is. It's insanity. Just what we call little tasks and to-dos and stuff has just made monumental shift in how I do business and what my business has been able to do for me.
And what it can do in the future, because every sale that you have is helping someone. Every product that you sell, somebody walks away thinking, I'm going to look great. I feel so much better in
Yeah.
these clothes. Like I love the fact that when I put this piece of clothing on, I feel good. And
Yeah.
that's our ultimate goal, really. I mean, there are
Yeah.
people out there who are ready to make money, whatever it takes. I'm happy to make money and I'm happy for you guys to make money. But in the process, we kind of want to make our customers happy along the way. Like
Yeah.
we're not drop shipping
Totally.
crap from China to people
Yeah.
we will never see. We're like, we want you to feel good. So we have a mantra, which is the more money I make, the more people I serve. And so
Yes.
if you make more money, what that really means is you've made a hell of a lot more people more happy in the way they
Yeah.
feel, the way they dress, their confidence levels, all those kinds of things.
Yeah, when I have listened to the money meditation several times. I like walk on the treadmill and I listen to it. I'm like, it's safe for me to be wealthy, you know? And one of the things, one of the things that keeps playing in my mind and gives me a little bit of encouragement is there's a line in there of like, the more money I have, the more people I can help. And like, I would really love to someday set up a scholarship for like young women who want to start a business or go into a creative field or anything like that, because it's like, you know, just encourage entrepreneurship. And like, I would love to do that someday. And so when I think about how much money I want to make, like, I want to make enough to be like, hey, your college is paid for, and just see somebody else who has that dream be able to pursue it.
And just think when you do that, and that just like I get goosebumps when people say that, because that is the whole point. Like
Yeah.
people say that it is like greedy to make money and I want to get off the treadmill of hustling. It's like making money doesn't have to be hard. Yes, you have to put in the work, especially at the beginning. But you just said it earlier. The money is in the boring, monotonous stuff, the tasks and the to-dos that realistically,
Yeah.
most of the time, someone else can do it if we just got off our ego high horse and let loose on the control reins a little bit. But everyone's like, yep, that's me. But that is the part where I love the people we work with, because realistically, what they want to do, apart from help their customers, is pass all this knowledge on. And so all
Yeah.
these things you've done are now things that you have in your little brain bank that you might sit next to somebody who is currently in college and you'll be saying,
Yeah.
do you really want to work with anthropology? I want you to write that down. Write that down right now. I don't care if it's a note in your phone, but you are writing that down. And what are you going to do to
Yeah.
celebrate when that happens?
Yeah. Yeah. And it's just I look forward to that. Like that is something that has been like I like money. I want money, I want a life
Just
that
don't want to
looks a
write it down
certain
on a bit of
way.
paper.
Yeah. I know. Oh my gosh. Like if I could get over my ego and just write it down.
That's not ego.
But
I don't think that is ego. I think that is fear. That's
it
completely
is,
different. You do not
you
think
know,
that you know everything. You're just a bit scared to write it down. And they're very, very
I
different
am
things.
scared. You know what's funny is I have a friend of mine, she makes jewelry, and she and I had met, doing pop-ups a couple years ago, and she's finally got her brick and mortar like the past year or so. And we had dinner, and I was telling her, like things I want to do in my business and what's stopping me. And she actually said to me, like, it sounds like you're afraid. Like, I'm hearing a lot that you're afraid. And I was like, I think I am. Like, and I just got to get over that.
Write it down. Like I'm not a journaler, but I can totally appreciate that just writing it down sometimes when you just, what is the worst thing that can happen? And that's something you always come back to.
Yeah.
Like, what is the worst thing that can happen? If I try this thing and it doesn't work, what is the worst thing that happen? I'll feel bad for a couple of days. You're not
Yeah.
losing your house
Yeah.
over this at the moment.
Exactly.
So it's like, I'm going to feel like I didn't do anything, but you know what? I will have a whole bunch of data. I'll have a whole bunch of data that I can
Right.
go back and I can extract what worked, what didn't work. Why didn't the thing work out the way that I thought that it would? Maybe I just chose the wrong product. Maybe I didn't send all those emails. So
Right.
I think I'm going to say this, and I don't say it very often, but I'm going to say, I think this is sometimes why men do so much better at business, because there's quite often not emotion attached. They're just like,
Yeah.
what do we need to do to make the money? Okay, go and do it. And we're like, am I going to hurt someone in the process? Am I going to have to put
Right.
KPIs on somebody? Am I going to have a hard conversation with my agency who are not doing the things? And we're trying to keep everybody happy. But
Yeah.
that you can't keep anyone happy if you're not in business.
Right. Exactly. And I think the biggest thing I've learned is like just do it. Like just try it. Just do the thing. And like and it's paid dividends in doing it. And so I think just taking that mindset going forward of like you said, like the success is in doing the everyday tasks, doing those to-dos. And it's made such a big difference. And I think that slowly but surely the fear is leaving. I have a little more like
We'll be there. We'll be there
little more
to kick it to
confidence,
the
but
curb with you.
I know. I know. I need it. I need it.
All right. Do you have any more parting words of wisdom? Although I feel like this whole episode has been words of wisdom to people who, it doesn't matter whether you're just starting out. It doesn't matter if you're at 6 figures or at 7 figures or 8 figures or 9 figures. So much of what you've said, I am sure that people relate to certain parts of it. And, my goal with the podcast is just putting that, the information, the knowledge, the stories out there so you can say, oh, this is what Kristine did. You know what? Maybe I could try it. Or Kristine really struggled with writing that number down. Like, I'm gonna be in there as solidarity. I'm gonna write the number down. I'm gonna be with
Yes.
them. Write the number down. Just anything. I feel like I don't know about you, but with every podcast I listen to, I always walk away with something. Like, it could just be a little tidbit, like, oh, I could try that or do that, or just admiration for someone or inspiration. But that's the whole point of learning. We love learning. We would not be business owners if we weren't prepared for the challenges and we didn't want to learn.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think my parting words would just be like, what do you have to lose? Like, what do you have to lose?
What's the worst that could happen?
What's the worst that could happen? You're going to spend money anyway. Like, you're going to have expenses for your business and yeah, what have you got to lose? And like in my experience, you just have so much to gain, and I've gained so much. And even just aside from the money, just the insight of just, I think I might know how to run a business now.
And maybe we flip that. Maybe we stop asking ourselves, what are we going to, what's the worst that could happen, to be, what's the best thing that could happen? Like, what is the best outcome that could happen from me making this decision? Because then we're focused on the positive rather than the negatives.
Exactly. I know. I need to write. I need to like do my money mantras.
You need to go and get your journal, you creative person, and you need to write this stuff down.
I know. I have like a board on my wall, and right now it actually says it is safe for me to be wealthy and to have more money than I need. That is like that's the nugget that I'm focusing on right now. But
So on that board, now you need to go and write what Q1's goals are.
Yes.
What's the targets and what's our stretch target?
I'm doing it tonight. I'm doing it as soon as we get off the phone.
I was going to say, you could do it as soon as you get off this call.
Yes.
All right. I think that is the perfect place to wrap up this episode. Thank you so much for sharing your story. I I get so much out of it, but I'm sure everybody else is listening. And if people would love to see what the curated dry goods store has to offer, where can they find you?
You can find me at curatedrygoods.co online and on social media at Curated Dry Goods.
Awesome, Kristine. You keep up the fantastic work and you do not stop telling us about all these amazing goals because they make my heart sing. And the best part is they're inspiring hundreds of other people to go out and stretch themselves, to take what you've done and put it in place in their own business. So you're already doing that inspiration part and you don't even know it.
Oh, well, I appreciate it. It's been great for me too.
So that's a wrap. I'd love to hear what insight you've gotten from this episode and how you're going to put it into action. If you're a social kind of person, follow me at @TheSelenaKnight and make sure to leave a comment and let me know. And if this episode made you think a little bit differently, or gave you some inspiration, or perhaps gave you the kick that you needed to take action, then please take a couple of minutes to leave me a review on your platform of choice. Because the more reviews the show gets, the more independent retail and e-commerce stores just like yours that we can help to scale. And when that happens, it's a win for you, a win for your community, and a win for your customers. I'll see you on the next episode.